So today the video is going to be on the Rooney Rule. But I'm going to do a quick disclaimer because there are ignorant people out there that can't handle adult conversation. And if you are one of those people who can't handle talking about race and diversity in America, especially when it comes to the NFL, and can't have this adult conversation, don't continue listening to this video. You've been warned. Now, my personal belief, as I believe all races and creeds should have an equal opportunity at any job. And the NFL has done a very poor job of hiring diverse candidates, all minority groups, not just one, all minority groups for head coaching and GM and positions of the like. Now, people in recent weeks like Richard Sherman, Stephen A. Smith, and Shannon Sharp, which I'll highlight Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharp because I believe they have a tribalistic mentality because they represent one minority group, Black/African American. I believe this is flawed. I think this is the wrong thinking. I'm not saying Black or African Americans don't deserve a job in the NFL. There should be more of them. But I believe all races and creeds should have an equal opportunity. Why aren't there more Asian Pacific people? Why aren't there more Hispanics, Latins, and of the like? Because essentially in America, 72% of the population, is, according to the last census, is white/Caucasian, and the rest basically fall in the minority category. And that means all races and creeds when it comes to the NFL should be represented. You're never going to get an equal outcome of all races and creeds, but you would like to get as close to that number as possible. And yes, I do think it's pathetic that we only have 4 minority candidates in the NFL right now. And I also think it's pathetic that we have to put a rule in place and make it mandatory for these teams to hire the minority candidates. But I can kind of explain this away because they don't have a lot of time to hire this. I think each and every current team that had fired their head coach at the end of the season hired their next head coach within 14 days because everybody's jockeying for a position. It's a rush. When you think of just any job in America today, it takes between 36 and 42 days for most companies to go out and seek the candidate they want. Average job has 250 candidates. From that, about between 2 and 10% are actually given an interview, depending on what statistical site you look at. Why isn't it the same way in the NFL? That's right, because they don't have the same allotted time. Everybody is pitted against each other. It's all about getting the best competitive advantage. And I don't even think they hire the best candidates half the time because they are in a rush. And if you are rushed, you're not going to make the most rational decision because you're competing. And the hiring process should not be like this. It really isn't like that around the world and in America. If it takes 36 to 42 days to hire a candidate, you're looking for the best one. And it should be like that in the NFL. So what I propose is after the Super Bowl, we allowed 30 days for teams just to interview candidates, head coaching candidates, or GMs, the major positions in the NFL. Make it mandatory that multiple minority candidates are interviewed for those positions. In that time, for teams that didn't fire their head coach, they're not allowed to get a head start on the draft and or free agency. For those teams, they have to take the time off. Unless they have a coaching position, they fired a coach, they have to then go out and hire one. So they're allowed to interview in this process as well. After that 30 days, teams should have a good amount of data and they should go out there and select the best candidate. I believe giving teams and putting everybody on a fair playing field would make it so more minority candidates are hired. Because when do you think you're going to find the best candidate? When you interview 1 or 2 or 5 or 6 candidates in 14 days? Or let's say 10 to 20 candidates in 30. I tend to believe 10 to 20 candidates in 30. Or 10 to 20 candidates in 30 days. And I don't know how many you make mandatory that they have to be a minority. I think you should automatically want to do that regardless because you have a bigger swath of people then to pick from. But just in case teams don't want to follow this rule, I would make it mandatory for them to at least interview at least 40% of their candidates must be minorities. And I believe then and only then, giving a larger swath of time, would you find more minority candidates. If we're not getting diversity from what I've proposed, then yes, there might be a racist or bigoted issue. Then you would flush it out. And then we have a serious problem that we need to address in the NFL. But me personally, I do believe in diversity, and I think it should be represented better in the NFL. It's done a decent job. If you look at the player base, they've done a great job. 70% of the player base is either black or African American. You have a multitude of other races that include that group. I think that's good. And I wish we had something similar at the head coaching and GM and whatever else position in the NFL. It's unfortunate we don't, but do I sit there and believe that every ownership is a racist or a bigot? No. I give everybody the benefit of the doubt. Maybe that's just me having optimism. Either way, it's been one giant rebuttal. Please like and subscribe, and go Big Blue.